Okay, today I wanted to talk about the Spahn Ranch scene in Tarantino's movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Go ahead and put that up here. We'll call it a scene/sequence because it's not really just one scene. But I wanted to talk about this because I think it's just a really interesting kind of interaction and sequence. I think it does a good job of highlighting kind of what everybody likes about Tarantino in terms of dialogue, interesting dialogue, bizarre characters, and situations. He seems to really like those. And then, of course, tension. There's kind of the main aspect that he's really good at. He did a good job of this in Inglorious and kind of detailing that. Having these crazy amounts of just tension and everything. You were just waiting, and it's just eating at your scalp, basically. And you're waiting for something bad to happen, and then something does or doesn't happen, basically, from there. And the interesting thing about the Spahn Ranch aspect is because essentially throughout the entire sequence, we'll just call it almost nothing happens. And it's a bizarre sequence because you are waiting for everything. You're waiting for something to just go bat crazy. Like you're convinced throughout the entirety of this that something is absolutely going very, very wrong. Something is going to go wrong in this aspect of it. But it doesn't. Basically, it doesn't. And then Cliff leaves, and then it just kind of goes on. So we're just going to kind of go do an analysis of it, kind of walk through dialogue and see from there, see what happens and see how he gets it to that point and how he makes it happen. Now, real quick, this is a script write-up by me. I am not a script writer, and there are a lot of inaccuracies. At some point, if Tarantino ever releases the real script, maybe I'll use that for future ones. But turns out, if you go online looking for scripts, you'll find just about every one of his scripts except for this one. And this one doesn't exist. Apparently not on the internet, at least. So at some point, if he ever releases it, then I'll have it. But until then, I don't have it, which is really annoying because I would have loved to not have to type this whole thing up. But either way, that's how it goes. So what we've got here is we've got a sequence of events. We got the main character who's, we'll call him, let's see, Brad Pitt's character, who is, let's see, Cliff Booth. And he is a stuntman for DiCaprio's character, who is Rick Dalton, who's a kind of dying flame of a movie actor. But either way, he's the stuntman, and Rick and Booth is kind of, his character seems to be more or less like the real deal, basically. Rick Dalton seems to be, he's very much a movie actor and he's very good, but Cliff Booth kind of just seems like he's like the genuine real deal, sort of almost, he's more of a movie character than Rick Dalton is. Rick Dalton's an actor playing other roles, but Cliff Booth is kind of the real movie character in terms of his bizarre life, his actions, and the sequences that he gets in. And he's kind of the real, I don't know, I enjoyed his character because he's kind of the real hero without kind of realizing it in a sense. He doesn't realize that he's the main character. So either way, so we've got an interaction, and we're just going to go in and we're going to highlight kind of, again, dialogue, bizarre characters, and tension, and kind of see from here. So exterior, on the road, inside Rick Dalton's car, day, driving down the Hollywood Boulevard. So we'll just start here. Booth is driving Rick Dalton's car down the road. It's a beautiful sunny California day. He speeds down the road listening to the radio. Radio announcer, "This is the real dime." Song begins to play. Booth begins to hums and bobs with the music. And then we basically have a few more scenes of that into where it skips to later. So Booth is still driving. Song suddenly changes, but Booth is still moving with the music. He pulls up to a stoplight. On the opposite side of the intersection is a hitchhiker. She's young, and at this point they have seen each other previously, and she tried to hitchhike, but he was going the opposite direction. So now he was going this way, and now he's going this way. And basically, if we've got a road, We'll just draw this out. Make sure everybody knows where we're going. But basically, she is over here. This is where the hitchhiker is. And then this is the car, basically. There you go. So you get a diagram of it. So he's going this way and this way. So he's seen her before. I didn't write it to indicate that, but she has. She's young and wearing a yellow bikini with short jeans. She recognizes him and begins to wave. He gives a wave back and she laughs and begins to dance with success. She has a youthful, adventurous, and provocative vibe. Basically, he signals yes to giving her a ride. All right. Cop car drives past, and we're going to call her Kitty for the entirety of this script, but just know that's not her name. And again, I think for YouTube guidelines, we're gonna censor this. So screw you, you screwing pig. She gives the car the finger. Booth laughing. Oh no. Again, because he's agreed to giving her a ride, basically. So she goes over and sits on the bench, stretching her legs out and slouching. Booth drives up the car beside her. Booth, hello, hot stuff. Kitty, looks like there's times to charm. Booth, how are those pickles? She gets off the bench and leans into the car window. Kitty, real good. They were the fancy kind. Booth, Kitty, She bites her lower lip. Kitty, give me a lift. Booth, where are you going? She leans through the passenger window, resting her hands on the seat and leaning in closer to Booth. I'm going to Chatsworth. Chatsworth? You hitchhike up and down Burbank Boulevard until someone says they'll drive you to Chatsworth? Tourists love to drive me. I'm their favorite part of their LA vacation, you know. They'll be telling stories about the Hollywood hippie girl they gave a ride to the movie ranch for the rest of their lives. And real quick, just to stop here, this is something that's kind of interesting, at least about this whole sequence for the dialogue, is there's a lot of repetition, basically. Figure out how many eyes are in that repetition in the dialogue. So basically what you have is you'll have a line where somebody says something, and then they'll say it back with a question mark, and then they'll say, yeah, that's it. And they'll go, huh, so this is what you mean to say, with another question mark. And it'll be like, yeah. So basically, just to give you an example, what we've got here, and just keep an eye on this repetition where it's kind of like somebody will say like, hello. You're like, you saying hello? Yes, I'm saying hello. Huh, so you're telling me hello. Why are you saying hello? Well, I'm saying hello, and it's just this back and forth repetition of the dialogue where it kind of really mulls it over, and it's interesting. It's just got a weird rhythm to it. So just listen for that as we're going to it. So basically what you can see right here is kind of the first example, at least in this scene, where it's like, and he's kind of just mirroring the other character's responses. So, you know, tourists love to drive me. They'll be going to the Spahn movie ranch. Yeah, Hollywood, they go to the movie ranch for the rest of their lives. Wait, Spahn movie ranch? Kitty, yeah, that's where you're going. Spahn movie ranch. Uh-huh. Why are you going there? Like, listen to this. I'm going to the movie ranch. Spahn movie ranch? Yeah. You're going to Spahn movie ranch? Uh-huh. Why are you going there? I live there. And it's just this, it's interesting. It's bizarre. It gives this kind of weird rhythm to it. You have to be careful doing audio or dialogue repetition just because it gets boring and stupid really quickly. But it's just interesting because the fact is, the reason why this works is because the dialogue is not doing the lifting necessarily. You know, we're not watching this for the dialogue. We're watching this scene for the sexual tension. Because what you've got is a very provocative hippie girl, and she is very flirty with our character here, with Cliff Booth. So she's very flirty. That's what's kind of driving the interest. So with that, you can do something like this with the dialogue, and it doesn't really impact it too much, because this is not something where they're doing, like, the dialogue is not carrying the scene. The dialogue is kind of, in a sense, it's playing support. It's basically playing a support role for this whole action, and basically it's just dragging it out, which is interesting. It's a good way to do it. So she's saying, I live there. Booth, alone? No, me and my friends. So you and a bunch of friends like you all live on Spahn Movie Ranch? Yeah. Well, hop in. I'll take you there. Great. She opens the door and climbs into the car. Again, there you go. You live there? Alone? No, me and my friends. And then it's kind of like this summary. Basically, there's like a statement and then a question about the statement and a reiteration of it. So we'll call this, let's see, 1, 2, and then there's this other question of like, are you sure? And it's like, yeah, 1, and then it's, again, this is kind of summary almost at the end of it, where it's like, so you and a bunch of friends like you all live on Spahn Movie Ranch? Yeah. Well, great. Hop in. I'll take you there. And again, it's kind of bizarre. I need to make sure I'm being careful and not breaking this in. It will help to watch this scene before going into this, just because I'm going to be ruining the flow of the dialogue, because we're going to be stopping a whole lot. But basically, anyway, so at this point, I would say the audience, we are intrigued, basically, by the situation. And again, we are looking through Booth's point of view. He represents the point of view for the audience. So we get to see through his eyes. So we're seeing through his eyes, so we're watching how he reacts. And this is kind of interesting too, because you want to make sure that we're the audience, as a story writer, you want to make sure the audience is with you. Or not, I mean, if that's your goal. But for this, I think it is important that the audience is with you. And you can see, because he makes sure that the audience is with Cliff. And also, you'll see how in a bit. So, Kitty, yeah. Well, hop in. I'll take you there. Great. She opens the door and climbs in the car. And Booth and Kitty drive off. And then it's exterior, continuing on the road. And then Kitty's, so we're going to go down here and go down the Hollywood freeway. And I know where it is. Kitty, are you some old cowboy guy that used to make movies there? Whoa! They both laugh. I'm a bit surprised about how that description of me really is. Some old cowboy guy that used to shoot movies at Spahn Ranch. And again, we've got this repetition here, basically. And it kind of works with Booth's character, because he's kind of playing with her. It's very playful. You know, he's not offering up his opinion too much. He's kind of just mirroring her. It's an interesting dialogue for here. Again, but it's extending the scene out, because it's the sexual tension that's kind of carrying it. Kitty, so you used to make westerns at the ranch in the old-timey days. She puts her feet up on the dashboard. Well, if by the old-timey days you mean television 8 years ago, yeah. You an actor? No, I'm a stuntman. Stuntman. That's way better. Why is that way better? Actors are phony. Oh. They just say lines that other people write and pretend to murder people on their stupid TV shows. Meanwhile, real people are being murdered every day in Vietnam. The car takes a sudden turn and they enter the highway. Song says, "Hey, little girl in a blue house sweater and a house blue sweater." Booth switches lanes on the highway. She bites her lip and stares at Booth. And this is kind of where we get to see more or less the payoff or some aspect of the sexual tension. We get to see this kind of continuing to build, because it's been very flirty, but kind of what do they talk about in like 3 pages? Can you give me a ride? You live on Spahn Movie Ranch and you're an old guy. But again, it's kind of drawing it out really well. So she goes, "Kitty, want me to suck your cock while driving?" Beat. Booth looks at her. She looks back, slightly thrown off, because this is kind of the thing where, well, actually, we'll go through the scene and I'll stop. How old are you? What? How old are you? Wow, man. First time anybody asked me that. Asked that in a long time. What's the answer? Okay, we're gonna play kitty games. And this is a great line in terms of it reveals a lot of backstory. So this is a great line, because what it does is it reveals a lot about her character. So we know a lot about her past, and it shows us how she sees Booth. Basically, because she sees him as somebody who doesn't really care if she's 18 or not. That's her worldview. But again, it gives a lot, because again, we don't really know much about this hippie girl. We don't know much at all, but we're kind of getting to see, and we have this introduction for it. So, but it's just interesting. All right, so wow, first time anybody asked that in a long time. What's the answer? Okay, and again, this is another part to keep interrupting, is that to be the hero, Booth must overcome temptation. In order for him to be the hero, he's got to overcome temptation. And so far, seemingly, he has, and he will. We'll find out. But at least he has overcome temptation, because what he's done is he's been presented with a situation, he's responded right, which means the audience is on his side. And this especially comes into play later on, when Booth is going to be conflicted and contrasted with the other characters at Spahn Ranch. So we need to have the audience on his side. This makes the audience care about him. He's seen as the good guy, and he stands apart from the bad guys, basically. And so he's moral, basically. And so we're going to trust his judgment, and we're going to care about him. We're interested in getting his perspective and everything. And this is really important kind of later on, and what this is building towards. Again, if you're writing, you're constantly thinking about how your dialogue is building towards some sort of finale, or some sort of scene finale, or just some sort of interaction. And all right, so Kitty. Okay, we're going to play Kitty games. 18. Feel better? You got some ID, like a driver's license or something? Kitty. Are you joking? No, I'm not. I need to see something official that verifies that you are 18, which you don't have because you're not. Talk about a bring down bummer, dude. That's you. Yeah. Kitty moves to lay her head down in Booth's lap. Obviously, I'm not too old to fuck you. But obviously, you are too old to fuck me. What I am too old to do is to go to jail for poontang. Again, I don't know how to spell that, but we're going with that. And I was scared to Google it, so we're going with that. She laughs. Prison tried to get me all my life, ain't got me yet. The day it does, it won't be because of you. No offense. And then we've got a scene jumps to Rick Dalton filming in Italy, and we're going to jump back because we're skipping that. We're not talking about that. We're talking about Spahn Ranch. So what do we have here? We have the conflict in terms of the two characters and their wills, and we're kind of waiting to see what Booth does. Does he overcome temptation and prove himself the hero? Because it's one of those things where it's like, honestly, most people wouldn't have thought too poorly of him if he'd taken her up on the offer. I mean, obviously, in the show, if you find out later that she's under 18, then it's a pretty big no-no. But visually, you can tell she looks much older than 18. The actress is older than 18. I mean, that's kind of obvious at that point. So it's like there's this, the movie magic says that she's 18, but nobody's really buying that. But at the same time, nobody would have, if they'd made her just barely 18, I don't think anyone would have judged him too harshly. He would have lost a lot of support, Booth would have, but he wouldn't have been the hero. He would have just been just another guy. You know, he would have been weak, and he wouldn't have been in control. That's the other aspect, is he is completely in control of the situation and the scene and the dialogue. He is in control, and that's what you don't want to lose, probably more so than anything as a story writing, because what's going on is Booth's going to go into a situation where being in control becomes very, very important, you know, kind of trying to maintain control of the situation. So all right, so we're jumping back to Spahn Ranch. Inside George's house day. 5 girls and 1 guy are watching TV in an old living room. It's aged and old. The furnishing match the time different from the young occupants. They're smoking. 2 girls on the couch with the man laying across them. 1 girl is in the recliner with the other 2 resting on the floor. Squeaky. That's a car. She lowers the footrest on the recliner. That's a strange car. Sadie, go see who's outside. Sadie gets up and walks to the door and looks out. Booth is off in the distance, driving up. The whole ranch is a series of old, fallen apart cars and derbies, along with a trailer and a few old houses and shacks. Squeaky. So who is it? I ain't for sure. It's bitch and yellow Cadillac. Keep an eye on them. So what we've got here is we've got the point of view. And what does this immediately say? This is immediately setting suspicion. I've spelled that wrong completely. So there we go, suspicion. So this immediately saying there's a high amount of suspicion, which the audience will correctly read. So when somebody's very, very suspicious, the audience is going to think you have something to hide. And that's what this does, this scene. And again, there's kind of an interesting, audience is kind of like toddlers in the thing, where you can kind of pick something up and go, there's nothing to see here. And immediately everyone in the entire story is going to immediately go, all the audience is, the entire audience is going to go, there's something to hide. They're immediately going to know that, and it's not going to work. So that's what this is doing. This is basically doing a whole scene to say, there's nothing here. There's nothing to worry about. There's nothing to hide. And the audience immediately goes, you're definitely hiding something. So this is mystery, intrigue. This is kind of, I think, the reason why he put this scene here first, before we even get to Spahn Ranch. We haven't even gotten to Spahn Ranch, basically. We're seeing it from the outsider perspective. So keep an eye on them. So this is kind of the hidden prize, and we'll see if Booth ends up discovering it. So, all right, exterior Spahn Ranch day. Booth parks the car and turns the engine off. He looks out at the ranch. A distant dog runs around, sniffing in the dirt, clearing in the center. Booth gets out. He studies the place, taking his glasses off. A dog barks and runs across the clearing. A car door slams shut. Kitty walks up ahead and stops to turn around and offers her hand. She beckons him forward. Come on. Booth walks forward and takes her hand. She pulls him forward and they head farther into the ranch. They pass the first house and two girls, similarly dressed as Kitty, dressed with crop tops and short pants, come out of the house. They look very young. Kitty. Where the hell is everybody? Two more girls. I guess let's just say two more girls come out and sit on the bed frame and mattress on the front porch. Oh no, that's just the two girls. They look at Booth with suspicion. The second building, has a pair of saloon doors at the front. A girl is looking out at them. Booth and Kitty stop. She calls out to the other girl. Hey, where's Gypsy? Girl, she's down by the chop shop. They continue walking, and Kitty continues pulling Booth, who allows himself to be led forward. Again, this is an interesting part where there's kind of this, the reluctant hero aspect of it, to where Booth he's kind of being led into this situation. He's being led into this one. So this is not something that he's voluntarily doing. And this is kind of one of those things where it's setting it up the audience to really take his side, because he's kind of, the audience is not, again, the audience likes somebody who's similar to them, and they're not the type of person to jump into a strange situation, but they will be led into a strange situation. And so what you've got is, we're kind of understanding and agreeing and really in line with Booth's perspective and everything, and it's really working out. And so I think it'll come to play out. It will come to pay out down the road, but it's just interesting to see. This is kind of what it's setting up. So this is what it's doing. This is kind of the really small building blocks that we're doing, you know, why she's kind of being leading him forward. So Kitty, hey, Gypsy, hello. That's how she sounds. Gypsy, come on, I want you to meet my new friend. And then we cut back to the suspicion house. Sadie. Some old-looking dude in a Hawaiian shirt who just gave Kitty a ride home. Squeaky. He coming this way? Nope. She's bringing him down to the range to meet everybody. Oops. She's bringing him down to the range to meet everybody. Stay by the door. Tell me if he starts coming this way. Again, we're going to call this building suspense. Because basically, so far in the Spahn Ranch, we have no reason to believe that there's anything going on until we see, this is building suspense 2, the other one is building suspense 1. We have no reason to believe that anything is going wrong until they go up here and go, we don't want him around here. There's nothing, basically kind of announcing, there's nothing high. There's this great Monty Python skit, which is just the airplane one, where it's like, attention, this is your captain speaking. There is no cause for alarm. And everyone in the plane is immediately like, oh my gosh, what's there no cause to alarm about? And then they immediately start directing from there. But it's kind of playing on this idea of, once you tell everyone, hey, there's no problem, everybody goes, what do you mean there's no problem? Like, where's the problem? Where is there no problem? You know, and everything from there. So, all right, so tell me if he starts coming this way. Back to Spahn Ranch. Welcome to our community. Thanks for having me. Thank you for giving our precious Kitty a ride home. The two girls kiss. Booth, think nothing of it. Kitty, we love Kitty. And this again, this is probably Tarantino weirding it up. Is that weird? Yeah, that is weird. Yes, we do. Kitty, where is everybody? Where's the children? Gypsy, everybody left for Santa Barbara. Really? Charlie's gone? Everybody left? Gypsy, well, not everybody, but mostly everybody. Drag. I really wanted Cliff to meet Charlie. I think Charlie's really going to dig you. A visibly pregnant girl walks by. Gypsy, Angel, hold on. Booth, well, maybe next time. Gypsy runs over to Angel. She begins talking to the other girl. The focus shifts to them. Yeah, you gotta come back. Yeah? Yeah, sure. So how's it all comparing to your glory days? Gypsy runs back to Booth and Kitty. Well, things have changed. Spahn Ranch trails. And then we got shift change. Or scene change, probably more. Scene change. A woman steps on a small stool and mounts a horse. She's well-dressed, posh, sitting beside a man, also well-dressed. They are tourists. Not a bad mount, Connie. Connie, I used to ride horses every day back in Tennessee. Lulu, is that right? Kurt, every day? Connie, well, every week. Lulu, all right. Lulu walks off. Connie, ain't she just darling? Lulu mounts her horse. Tex is already mounted beside her. Tex is the, I don't know if I need to introduce him. I don't know, go watch this. I'll link the scene, go watch it first. My name is Lulu. This is Tex. We're going to be leading you on a great trail ride through the beautiful Santa Susana Canyons. Now, Kurt, I hear you're already an experienced rider. Yeah, yes. Yeah, and so are you, Connie? Angel walks up to the group. Yes, I am. Hey, Tex, come here. So if you're both experienced riders, we'll just make this about having fun. You ready to have some fun? Lulu and the tourists begin to head towards the distant hidden hills and trails. They ride off, basically. Angel stands beside Tex, who is still mounted. So, Kitty brought back some guy with her. Gypsy wants you to go and give him a look-see. Yeah, sure thing. Again, this scene is, we'll call this one, let me get that back here. Oops, not that one. Back here, we'll call this, this is building suspense 3. This is more of, they're acting really, really shady. Like something's very much going on. Something's going on. Something to hide. Basically, there's something to hide. This is kind of what the story basically is continually trying to tell us, and this is where kind of to go back from the interesting part is basically the audience. Essentially, the scene is the audience is getting gaslit through this entire scene. It's pretty interesting. The audience is getting gaslit, and the reason why I say that is because we're constantly told that there's something to hide, and the question is there? Is there something to hide? But we'll see. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. So we'll see from there. All right, so back to Spahn Ranch. So we've got another scene there. Tex rides to the center of Spahn Ranch. He heads for Gypsy, Kitty, and Booth. Gypsy: oh, and here's someone you absolutely have to meet. One of our most favorite sons. Tex, come on over here and say hi to Cliff. Howdy, Cliff. Tex: what part of Texas you from? Place you never heard of, Cokeville. Ah, ever been to Houston? Of course I have. Yeah, spent 2 weeks once on a Houston chain gang. In August, no less. That doesn't sound like a whole lot of fun. It's the last cop's jaw I ever broke, I can tell you that. Kitty sticks her tongue out and looks admiringly at Booth. Man, Charlie's gotta dig you. Interior, George house. Hawaiian guy seems to be okay. Everybody's talking all friendly. Gypsy, distant. Oops, distant. Enjoy your day. Again, this is where we're looking at them from a distance, so they're far off. Through the screen door, basically. That's what's happening. All right. Thank you. Distant. All right. Tex, thank you. Tex checked him out, and now he's riding away. If he comes this way, let me know. Exterior, Spahn Ranch. Booth. Hey, does George Spahn still own this ranch? Gypsy. Yeah, George still owns it. Does he still live here? Gypsy. Yeah. Does he still live right there? Booth points at a house up the hill. Yeah. Is he here now? I guess so. So George gave you all permission to be here. Of course he did. And you all take care of him. Oh, we take care of George. We love George. Well, is there anything wrong with me saying hello to an old friend? And this is the interesting part where it's like, look at how much dialogue this is. To like, what is this? Basically, does George own the ranch? And it's this one way where you can see this. This is basically, again, if we're working on a scene from low tension to high tension, what we're doing here is you're usually one way to do that is to build resistance up. So what you're doing is you're trying to, again, tension comes from conflict. Basically, we have some sort of conflict, and then tension is more or less going based off of that. You know, it's building, continually building off of this. And so what you've got is you've got conflict that leads to tension. So what you've got is everyone's all fine and dandy getting along, but then you can start to see the disagreement coming up here, especially because he's not doing anything. Again, just a reminder for this entire scene so far, nothing has happened. All that's happened is Booth came to the ranch, Booth met Gypsy, Booth met Tex, so we got Gypsy and Tex, and he's talking about George. That's it. That's literally all that's happened so far. So, but again, we're building tension because you can see the evasiveness in their answers, basically. Again, this is, again, building towards this. If you're building to the idea of something to hide, as in something's going on here, what you've got is you want all of your dialogue to continually build towards this. You want it all to continually work towards this. Everything's building towards this. And so what you've got here is you've got really evasive dialogue. So obviously you can tell Booth is kind of leading them towards a conclusion that they do not want to be led towards. So does George still own it? Yeah, George still owns it. Does he live here? Yeah. Does he still live right there? Yeah. Is he here? I guess so. So George gave you all permission. Again, you can see this evasiveness where they're not offering anything else out from there. And again, what we're doing is when you ask a question, basically pose a question to the audience, something like something to hide. Let's see. Something to hide, something's going on. The audience is looking for literally anything, any hint any hint as to what's going on. And what you've got here now is we are pointing it, Tarantino's pointing it at George. Because he could have gone anyway. He could have gone with, you know, how are the people being treated here? Are they, you know, the chop shop? You know, all of this is super sketchy. Something's going on. And if you know anything about the movie and the origin and who Charlie is, you know, this is Charles Manson. You know, there's something obviously wrong going on here. Something is going wrong, but we're not sure. What he does is he points it at George, and what causes the audience to latch onto it is this tension right here. They're being evasive, basically. They're trying to hide it. And so what the audience does is the audience is going to latch onto this and go, something's going wrong with George. And that's what you want. That's where the story leads. So something's, you know, going wrong with George. And so what happens is when Booth says, does he live right there? The audience wants to look. And this is kind of in conflict, because basically now you've got something going on with the audience that's in conflict, where obviously something's going on here. Something's going on here. But at the same time, we want to look and see George. We want to look and see George. And this is the tension, and this is what creates basically the suspense for this whole scene, because basically we know something's going on. Booth is kind of, again, he's reluctantly being led and kind of going into this, you know, whole situation, and we don't really know what's going on, but something's definitely going on. It's all of this is kind of building it toward, and this is how he's doing it, because basically, again, we had a million different ways for this suspension to kind of be pointed in a direction. What we did is we pointed it in George's direction by going, hey, is George, everything going okay with George? And they go, yeah. You know, it's like when you ask a question and somebody says the answer too fast and you're like, okay, I'd like to know a little bit more. And they're like, what would you like to know more? It's like, all right, you've got something to hide and there's something you don't want me to know, which means I should know about it. And it's all about George. So now we need to figure out what's going on with George. So, Kitty, we take care of George. We love George. Well, is there anything wrong with me saying hello to an old friend? You can't see him right now. Why can't I see him right now? Again, there's this rhythm about the dialogue that's always kind of funny, where it's just kind of, you know, I would like to see George. You can't see George. Why can't I see George? Because you can't. Why not? Because this. Why this? And it's just this rhythm to it. Why can't I see him right now? Because he's napping. This is his nap time. And this is obviously a lie. The audience is told this is a lie. Like, this is everything. Again, we're looking from Booth's point of view. We know this is a lie. So, all right, a man in the background emerges with two girls. He's putting his belt on. And this is where the skeeviness goes up. Again, something to hide, something's wrong. And we see this, and we're just like, something's going on here. And that's exactly what Booth does, and this is how you draw the audience in, because they want to know what's going on, because something's obviously going on here. And this is why we're with Booth in his decision, because you want them to understand and be with Booth as he's kind of moving in and going in this direction. So, Booth is, well, I think I'll just go see him for myself. Booth begins walking towards the house. You never know. He might have just woke up. Enter inside George's house. TV inside the house is playing loudly. The Beatles on the set playing a song. Sadie, the old Hawaiian guy's coming this way. Squeaky. Okay, y'all. Beat it. I'll handle this guy. The four girls and one guy get up and head towards the front door of the house. Squeaky lowers the footrest and stands up. Booth watches the group file out. They walk down the stairs and past Booth. They look at him with suspicion and disgust. Booth walks up the stairs to the front door. Squeaky watches on the other side of the screen door. And again, this is one of those things where it's Every single building block, every single word, every single interaction of dialogue is building towards this one goal, and it's building towards this tension, and it's the reason why it's not like somebody's like, welcome, come in here and take a look and see whatever you'd like to see, because that's not what we're building towards. We're building towards something to hide. This is the intrigue that we're building for. We're also going that something's wrong, and we're also just, something's very wrong, basically, and this is what we're building towards. The guy taking his belt off, and coming in the background emerges with two girls. All these girls are very young looking. All the girls are very young looking. Something's going wrong. We know this because we met Kitty, and then if they're anything like her, this is some sketchy place. So Booth comes up. You the mama bear? Squeaky, can I help you? Booth, I hope so. I'm an old friend of George's. Thought I'd stop by and say hello. Squeaky, that's very nice of you, but unfortunately you picked the wrong time. George is taking a nap right now. And again, we've got this excuse that we're giving. I can't spell on camera, it seems. So basically, this is another lie. We get to see this lie again. So this, again, every single line of dialogue you want to say is continually building towards this whole interaction. And in order to do that, everything's got to be in sequence. And so what we've got here is we've got this here again. Oh, so George is taking a nap right now. Oh, that is unfortunate. Oh, yes, it is. What's your name? Cliff Booth. How do you know, George? I used to shoot westerns here at the ranch. When was the last time you saw George? Oh, I'd say about 8 years ago. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize the two of you were so close. Well, when he wakes up, I'll let him know you came by. Again, trying to get rid of him. Which means there's something to hide. To hide, and specifically with George. Which means the audience is trying to figure out, because again, anytime you have a mystery or something, it's kind of like a scab or like something that your audience is kind of continually just trying to figure out. They're trying to mess with. They're trying to figure out where it is. Where is this going? Where is it going? Where is it going? Where is it going? Basically, and they want to know. They want to know where it's going. What's going to happen to it. So something's happening with George. So, oh, I'd say about 8 years ago. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize the two of you were so close. Well, when he wakes up, I'll let him know you came by. I'd really like to say a quick hello now, while I'm here. Came a long ways. Don't know when I'll get back this way again. Oh, I understand that, but I'm afraid that's impossible. Impossible? Why is that impossible? Because me and George like to watch TV on Sunday night, FBI and Bonanza, but George finds it hard to keep awake that late. So I make him take a nap about now so I don't get chipped out of my George TV time. Well, look, Red, I'm coming in there. With my own two eyes, I'm going to get a good look at George. And this knocks on the screen door. Ain't stopping me. And this is one of those where it's this, again, he's napping, and this is the reason why. This is obviously a lie. It's obviously a lie. Because, again, there's something to hide. So what we've got is a very generic, big something to hide. And then we're narrowing it down with something to hide, you know, with George. And this is kind of narrowing the focus now. So we're narrowing it down, focusing it. All right, because George and me get chipped out. Okay, all right, he's coming in. Beat, squeaky, again, and they're trying to stop him. They're trying to stop him, but then, okay. And this is kind of where basically we keep moving, waiting for there to be tension, but there's not. And moving forward, waiting for there to be tension, but there's nothing. And keep moving forward, waiting for but there's nothing. And keep going, and this is kind of what it's continually doing, is we're expecting there to be some, you know, blow up, some answer. We're trying to find the why everyone's so, you know, skittish. What are they hiding? What are they doing? Anything like this. This is all we're trying to figure out. This is building tension and then release. Building tension and then release. Building tension and then release. So we're trying to figure out what's going on. Okay, nothing. what's going on? But something's obviously wrong. And this is kind of where it's the contract is going, is the audience clearly sees something is going wrong. But in the actual plot, nothing is going on. At least not yet. And that's what we're going to find out. At least not yet. Okay, suit yourself. Squeaky flips the door latch inside the house, unlocking it, and goes back to the recliner. She sits down and kicks up the footrest and turns the TV volume up. TV ad man, you know, the next boy you meet could be the one. The next time he looks at you could be the time he really sees you. Better be ready next time with ... Booth glances behind him. In the center of Spahn Ranch are now a group of 14 girls and 2 men. They are all watching him. And this is kind of an interesting building tension, because is he in too deep? Because, you know, this is the conflict. Because this is the reason why I like it when you have 2 decisions for Booth right now. He can leave and go home, or he can stay and investigate. And what you want is there's kind of two competing ideas that you want to go for. Is you want, let's say this wall is leave so you don't get attacked by psycho hippies. But then you want that to be just barely beat out by investigate. And so what you have is each time, and the closer these two, the higher the tension. Because what you've got is you want to have a really, really, really good reason to leave. This is a great reason. Like these people are wild. But then you want a really, really good reason plus 1 to investigate. So you have this tension because the audience doesn't know what to do. The audience doesn't know what to do. And if the audience doesn't know what to do, they're looking to see what the main character does. And if they're looking to see what the main character does, not only are they interested, they want to know what happens next. And if you've got your audience in that situation, everything is perfect. You are doing great. So what the audience does, and this is the reason why I said before, it's very important that we want to see Booth's point of view. We trust his point of view, because we do trust Booth to get to the bottom of this, because obviously there's something going on. You know, all these lies. George is not taking a nap. Like, we're ready to find George dead. You know, George is probably dead. They probably killed him. They're probably kidnapping him. Something like this, basically, from here. All right, so in total, Booth enters the house. TV continues to play loudly. The house is full of dirty dishes in the sink and everywhere else. Flies are buzzing around. There is a mouse squeaking helplessly on a sticky trap in the corner. The trash can is piled high with no bag. There's an open bag of bread, partially eaten. Booth stepped forward into the living room beside Squeaky, who's still in the armchair. Booth, loudly with the TV. "He back there?" Squeaky points with her foot. "Door at the end of the hallway. You might have to shake him awake. I fucked his brains out this morning." The mouse continues to squeak in the background. Beat. "He may be tired." Again, all of this is when we're expecting tension when getting into the house, but she lets us in. We're expecting tension to go see George. He's down the hallway. We're expecting conflict, should I say. Conflict, because this house is a mess. Like, this is disgusting. And the mouse here, we're expecting the mouse to be George. I don't know if this is intended, but the mouse we're expecting is to equal George. We're expecting him to be helpless on a sticky trap. That's what we're expecting to find. All right. He may be tired. And again, this is interesting. It's like, wow, they're really committed to the lie of him napping. And Booth heads down the hall. "Oh, Mr. 8 years ago, George is blind, so you'll probably have to tell him who you are." Booth continues down the hall. He comes to the door at the end of the hall. He knocks. "George, are you awake?" Booth opens the door leading to George's bedroom. There is a figure laying on the bed, not moving. Booth enters the bedroom and closes the door behind him. The room is as messy and unkempt as the rest of the house. Food and dirty plates are scattered around. George. Booth walks over to the bed and begins to shake George's shoulder. George, again, this is an interesting thing because he's dragging out the tension. We know he planted the seed of we want to see George. And he's dragging this out. Once he really makes us want to see George, and every time we try and get closer to seeing George, he's really dragging it out. And then we go inside the house. And again, this is constant where basically this is the conflict. The audience expectation is that something happens, but then the plot, nothing happens. So let's see if this continues. Booth walks over to the bed and begins to shake George's shoulder. George, figure doesn't move. Booth's shaking. All right, he's totally dead. He's definitely dead. George rolls over. Oh, turns out he's not dead. Hi, George. What's going on? Everything's all right. Sorry to disturb you. Who are you? It's Cliff Booth. Just stopped in to say hello and see how you're doing. John Wilkes? Who? No, Cliff Booth. Who's that? I used to shoot Bounty Law here. I was Rick Dalton's stunt double. Who? Rick Dalton. The Dalton brothers? Rick Dalton. Who's that? He was the star of Bounty Law. And who are you? I was Rick's stunt double. Rick? Who? It don't matter, George. We were colleagues from the past, and I just wanted to make sure you were doing okay. I'm not doing okay. Again, so what we got here is we have delay. He is delaying the dialogue. Like, look at what's happening. Look at this conversation. It's kind of like that similar one where they're like, does George live here? Yeah. Is he doing okay? Yeah. Does he live in that house? Yeah. Can I see him? No. And again, it's this dialogue, and it works because, again, you can only delay the dialogue if the audience really wants to see what happens at the end of the dialogue. And the more they want to see what happens at the end of the dialogue, the more you can delay it. It's kind of funny like that. And so this is where we're expecting, and George does this. He does this a few times, and it's kind of funny. But basically, he's doing these lines, where these hints, these hooks, where basically the audience knows something's going on. And George will say this stuff, and we go, that's it. He's going to tell us next what's going on. That's what it is. So this is what we're waiting for. We're waiting for George to tell us, because again, we started with something, and then it got down to something's wrong with George, but then he's healthy. So what else is wrong with George? And we're trying to figure this answer out. And basically we got this line, I'm not doing okay. What's the matter? Can't see shit. Would you call that the matter? The man can't see shit. I'm sorry about that. I was told. Squeaky sent me to bed. Would that be the little redhead out front? What the fuck is the matter with you? First you wake me up, and now you're pretending I didn't tell you I was fucking blind? How am I gonna know what the hell the girl, the color of the head of the girl that is with me all the time? Fair enough, George. George struggles to sit up. Booth attempts to assist him. George slaps his hand away. And again, this is an interesting thing because, again, we've got this conflict thing going on where Booth is trying to help, but George won't let him. And he won't let him for a variety of reasons. He won't let him because he doesn't know who he is. So that's one aspect. It's not, hooray, I'm glad you came to visit me. Thank you for visiting me. No, everything's fine. Basically, we're trying to figure out what's going on. And George isn't helping us. And this is, again, something that we don't expect. Where basically Booth is trying to help and George isn't letting him. Again, there's conflict. There's basically never a single moment of agreement between the audience and the situation around us. There's constantly either something's going on with Kitty or something's going on with the girls at the ranch. Okay, well, there's something going on with George. George is probably dead. They're lying about him, so he's probably dead. Okay, well, he's not dead. They got to be mistreating him. And we're trying to figure out now if George is being mistreated, but George won't help us figure out if he's being mistreated. Basically, it's this constant conflict, constant doing, and all this is doing is basically building tension tension, release, tension, release, tension, release, tension, release. You know, we're constantly waiting for the ball to drop. And then, because once we figure out, we've seen what Cliff can do, he can fight. We're basically waiting to see, because once we do figure out what happens, the question is what are we going to do then? You know, what's going to happen then? This is kind of what's dragging it all out. So, all right, fair enough, George. George struggles. All right, no, Jesus Christ, everyone don't need a stump man. George is breathing heavy and struggling to stay sitting up. George, I don't know who you are, but you touched me today. You came to visit me. Now I gotta go back to sleep. George lays back down in the bed. Again, we're trying to figure out what's going on. We're trying to figure it out. George is not helping. Not helping. George lays back down in bed. Gotta watch FBI tonight. I watch it with Squeaky. She gets all pissed off if I fall asleep. Again, this is what George is doing. This is a hint. And Booth and the audience, remember, Booth's point of view, we see it. This is an aha. Here is where something is going on. We're finally going to get proof of what's going on. What happens when she gets pissed off? Nothing. I just don't like to disappoint her. So you gave all these hippies permission to be here? George sits up suddenly. Again, okay, well that didn't go anywhere. So, you know, nothing's there. Let's try and search another direction. So it turns out everything's fine with George. He really was napping. Like, he actually was napping. He did give permission. Like, everything, nothing's the matter. But something's obviously matter. Again, this is the tension, basically, that they're doing. And this is what Tarantino does in gaslighting the audience. All right. So you gave all these hippies permission to be here. George sits up suddenly. Just who the fuck are you? I'm Cliff Booth. I'm a stunt man. We used to work together, George. I just want to make sure you're okay. That all these hippies aren't taking advantage of you. Squeaky? Yeah. She loves me. So suck on that. George lays back down. And Booth is like, you take care of George. Again, all right. Well, we found out what's going on with George. Turns out, not much. Seems okay. But he won't let us help him. So again, it's this tension of something's going on. And then the plot, and this is the audience. The audience knows something's going on. The plot says nothing is happening or going on. Nothing is happening or going on. All right, Spahn Ranch, outside George's house day. He exits his house. He puts the glasses back on to himself. God damn it. He walks down the steps. Kitty is standing there watching him. You embarrassed me. Yeah, sorry about that. He walks past her. She turns to follow. How'd your little talk with George go? Are we kidnapping him? Not the word I'd use. Well, now that you've talked with him, do you believe everything's okay? And this is a great question. This is a funny question because basically it's Tarantino kind of essentially doing this to the audience. This might as well be asked to the audience. You know, well, now George is fine. Do you believe everything okay? Not exactly. Absolutely not. Not everything is going away. Kitty, this was a mistake. You should leave. Booth, way ahead of you. Kitty climbs on top of a nearby car. George isn't blind. I'm not going to shout because there's people in the house and I want to be courteous. George isn't blind. You're the blind one. The other hippies from the front porches of the houses and buildings begin shouting and jeering at Booth as he walks back towards the entrance where he parked his car. Booth approaches the car to find and this is where they're calling him names and shouting him and jeering and everything. He approaches the car to find a knife stabbed into the front left tire. And again, there's all these like little tensions basically. So now we've gone off this. We've figured out, we've met the people. The people are okay, so the hippies aren't being mistreated. You know, Kitty's not being controlled or something, so we're moving on. Okay. And then we know about George, and George isn't dead, so we're trying to figure out, okay, so if George is not dead, he's probably being mistreated, so let's check him out. We check him out. Turns out he's not mistreated. So basically we figure out that nothing's going on, and now we need to leave, and now we can't leave. And this is just, it's a really good scene for drawing us in. Because again, we wanted to go into this to figure out what's going on. But now we're trying to get back out, and we can't get out. This is a good conflict. And this is the thing where the audience doesn't get a chance to breathe, basically. Because there's no break in tension, basically. Because what would be a break in tension is, all right, let's get out of here, and then we drive away. That's what we're trying to do now. We're trying to just get out of here. We don't care. Obviously, we don't belong here. We, meaning Booth, because again, he's the hero. We've accepted his point of view. He's the hero. We're interested in seeing what he's doing, what he's going to come up with. All this, we're in it. All right. So he goes and takes a look and sees the car. He stops beside the car and takes his glasses off. He turns to see Clem, one of the, he's the guy who is in the house, in George's house. Who was in George's house on a wooden fence. You do that. You know, that's not my car. That's my boss's car. And if something were to happen to my boss's car, well, I'd get in trouble. Lucky for you, he's got a spare. And again, this is an interesting one because basically we're like, okay, what's going to happen? We're trying to see what's going to happen because we can see, we know what Cliff can do. We basically saw him versus Bruce Lee, the fight, basically. We know he knows how to take care of himself. However, this is a freaky situation with a lot of people. And also, you don't want to fight like probably girls who are being abused or manipulated in some way, who don't even realize it, who won't admit it. All right, but lucky for you, he's got a spare. Clem jumps down from the fence and approaches. Booth opens the trunk of the car and tosses the spare on the ground beside the flat tire. He grabs the jack, tosses it to the ground. Booth, fix it. Clem, ha 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 ha, fuck you. Booth approaches Clem and punches him in the face. Clem flies into the air and crashes on the ground. His face and nose are covered in blood. The girls off camera are crying and shouting in horror. Booth picks Clem up by his hair and punches him in the face. Punches him again in the face. Clem hits the ground. The girls continue to shout for both for Clem and against Booth. Leave him alone. Don't hurt him. Why won't you stop? Basically, this is all of what they're shouting, more or less. Booth picks Clem up by the hair. Ladies. He punches Clem in the face for a third time. Blood splatters out from his mouth, now covering his face and his chest. And this is an interesting thing because basically the audience right now, we do want to punch one, we want to punch Clem. We do like that. That's nice. But two, we want to leave. And so he's drawing out this tension even more. Again, he's giving little bits of like 5 seconds of tension. And over the course of this scene, which is like 20 minutes, 25 minutes or so, he's continually drawing it, probably draws it out maybe an extra 5 minutes, which is huge. Because basically the audience wants to leave. But basically he's staying to punch Clem a few times instead of leaving. And this is where the audience is just like, you know, we're thinking, get out, 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 get out. He's staying to punch Clem. And again, it's dragging this whole thing. This is where Tarantino does so good, because once he's got a tension situation, the audience wants something. And it's just like, so, you know, if we're here and leaving is here, what we're doing is we're headed there and the audience is like, great, we're headed back to the car. Oh no, there's a tire broken. Okay, we're gonna fix the tire. Okay, we're back on track. Okay, we're gonna punch Clem. And we're gonna go, no, we're gonna punch Clem again. No, we're gonna punch Clem again. And basically it's this roundabout way of leaving. And each time you're doing this, the audience is in their chair going, no, 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 and this tension. I feel like I'm just continuing saying the same thing. But again, all this is building. This is how Tarantino builds these tense moments where it's just everything is working in a chorus and orchestral organization and moving towards this whole thing. So he punches Clem. Booth, ladies. He picks up Clem and looks back at the ladies, punches Clem in the face for a third time. Blood splatters out from his mouth, now covering his face and chest. 5 of the girls begin to approach Booth. One step closer and I will knock his teeth out. The girls stop. Booth picks up Clem by his belt and hair and throws him into the side of the car. Fix it. Can I at least get a rag to wipe my face? Nope. Tire first. Booth pulls out a cigarette, and again, this is kind of the interesting part, is he is fully in control. Fully in control. However, he's outnumbered. You know, we had that scene from the back where there's like, 20 girls or 14 girls or something all watching him. Basically, it's the horde. The horde. He's in unknown territory against the horde, and he is the hero. Again, he's firmly established himself as the hero. The problem is, he's kind of a hero almost without a villain. Until Clem, there's no real villain, basically, from there. So, lights at Clem looks at the 5 girls. 4 of them are staring lovingly at Clem, and the remaining one is looking hatefully at Booth. Gypsy. Sundance. Yeah. Get on a horse, go get Tex, and get his ass down here. Sundance begins running back towards the back of the ranch. All right, now, again, tension. He defeats Clem. So what does Tarantino do? He announces the arrival of Tex. A new challenger will approach. Someone else is going to approach. So basically what you've got is, instead of getting a moment to breathe where, hey, we've taken control of the situation, we announce, situation's changed. We've got a new villain coming. Tex is now coming in. And again, that goes to this idea, no breath. So we're trying to fix it, but now Tex is coming. We're expecting Tex to show up, and he seems to be the authority, and he's got a gun, like all this. This is bad news. We need, and again, we want to leave. We just want to get out of here. We literally just fix the tire. Fix the tire, get out. Fix the tire, get out. Fix the tire, get out. This is what we're going. This is what the audience is basically screaming and going back and forth, in their chair. And Clem is working on loosening the bolts around the tire. So this is the other thing where it's like, do it yourself and do it fast. But no, Clem is doing it. So he's building this tension. Building. He looks out at Snake. I love you. Clem feels resolve and strength from these unspoken words. Sundance is mounted a horse and is riding back towards the trails. A dog barks, chasing after him. And this is an interesting part because we're kind of expecting to see Booth's reaction to all this, but we're not. See, we don't actually get to see any Booth react at all, ever. But it's just weird. And so basically with this is one. It makes it seem like an act of rebellion where Clem's going to stand up to him again. He's going to fight. Basically, we're expecting, this is what this suggests. It suggests that Clem is going to, get the sly, be a snake, and pull a snake move on Booth from here. All right, but Sundance is going from there. Chasing after her. Tex is leading the tourists along a riding trail. Sundance rides up. Tex. She rides up next to him. The Hawaiian guy's back at the ranch, kicking Clem's face in. Son of a. Tex rides off furiously. Sundance goes over to the tourists and takes the lead. I'll take over for Tex. Right this way. Tex is riding hard. He's whipping his horse to move faster. He rides with a strong sense of confidence. The gun on his belt can clearly be seen. I don't actually know if he's got a belt, but basically, this is one of those things where he's riding furiously as fast as he can go. He's continually riding, different scenes. It shows different scenes where he's riding through, headed back. And again, this is timer tension. Because again, the audience, all we want is to get out. All we want to do is get out. That's all we want. Just get out. Booth, get out. Because we care about Booth. Why do we care about Booth? Because he has established himself as the hero. And kind of one of the thing that makes it, and this is what makes it interesting, because basically what you have is we have let me actually finish this out. Tex rides into the center of the ranch. He's just in time to see Booth driving away in the distance. Clem, you all right? And then scene ends. There. But basically, we don't get to see Booth's reaction. And so this is the thing. We keep expecting, this is a directorial thing. Just a scene thing. We keep expecting to see Booth's reaction to this, but before that, we're gone. And so basically where it has more aspect for this tension is building up more and more, and then just ends. And then we get a moment of breathing, basically. We get to breathe at that point, and that's it. And so, just to kind of give you guys an idea of what happened. So basically what we got here, kind of step one, is we introduce Booth. Obviously, this is the middle of the movie, so it's not an introduction, but we establish him as the hero. And we establish him this because he does right in the moment of temptation or in conflict. He does right. Establish him the hero, and then we have a quest for him to go on. And he's intrigued. He's the man outside, the chaos man who's ready to see and figure out what's going on. He's in And then this is, he established the hair in the car ride, basically. And then when we arrive at the ranch, we establish something's hidden. And then we get to see and investigate. This is kind of the house from the house. And then this is Booth's point of view, basically. And we're meeting everybody at the ranch. We're meeting Gypsy. We're meeting Tex. Something hidden. Something's hiding. And again, this is kind of the building tension too. You know, where every time we see those point of views from George's house, something's going on. Something's going on. We know something's going on. We're waiting to see what's going on because something's definitely going on. Building, building, building. And then we go here, and then we're going to go see George. This is the outside George's house, basically. And so essentially what this requires, this whole scene requires, this scene requires us to care about the hero and want to see what's going on. The reason why we want to see what happens is because something's hidden. This is established. Okay, so something's hidden, so now that transforms to something's wrong with George. Now we're trying to see something's wrong with George. And now we're talking with George, basically. And we're talking with George. We're talking with George. We're trying to figure out, and something's wrong with George. But then it turns out, nothing's wrong with George. And then now, we want to get out. And so now we're trying to get out. We're trying to get out, trying to get out, trying to get out. Then the tire gets slashed. And we're trying to get him fixed. And we're fighting. And we're punching him. And the fight drags out. And then we're getting the other guy, Clem, to fix the tire instead of Booth. Because I guarantee you Booth could fix the tire faster than Clem. Again, Clem gets, and then we're just tension. We're trying to get out, get out, get out, get out, get out, get out, get out. And then Tex is coming. And then we need to get out, get out, get out, get out, get out, get out, and gone. And that's how the scene ends. And it's just, it's really, really, really well laid out. Because basically, he's essentially gaslighting the audience. It's interesting. He's basically gaslighting the audience, because basically every single fiber of your being is telling you that something is wrong, but then in the plot wise, nothing happens. Oops, I don't know why I put that there. Nothing happens, and that's it. And we keep it every time it turns. We expect there to be something wrong. Oh, George is napping. Obviously a lie. Turns out George is napping. George, you doing okay? I'm not doing okay. How are you doing? I'm blind. Oh, okay, you're blind. Okay, was everybody treating you okay? Who? Oh, everyone's treating me okay? Oh, Squeaky. Yeah, I have to keep her happy or else it makes her mad. Okay, what happens when she's mad? Oh, nothing. Okay, I want to get out. And basically rising tension, trying to get out, trying to get out, trying to get out. Oh no, tire's broken, trying to get out, trying to get out. Tex is coming, trying to get it, gone. And it's just poof. The scene's over then. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I think that kind of covers more or less all I wanted to talk about for that. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hopefully we'll do some more stuff for Tarantino. I wish I could get the rest of the script for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because it's really annoying. It was really annoying. It took forever to type this out. I wish he would just release the script so then I can go based off of it and kind of really see the actual aspects for it and all the parts that are at play for his directorial view, his vision for what the scene is, versus kind of before it actually played out at that point. So, but yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you in the next one.